So we're going to look at a rather strange part of the parsha of Shlach Lecha. Some characters that appear in the Torah a couple of times, very little said of them, and it's fascinating to see a little bit more behind who these people or these beings are, known as the Nephilim. In the report that the spies brought back, at least 10 out of the 12, one of the things they said, as reported in the Parsha of Shlach, it's on the top of the page, V'sham ra'inu es hanafilim b'nei anak min hanafilim v'anhi b'einenu k'chalgavim v'chein hayinu b'eineihem. There we saw the giants, say the spies, the sons of Anak, which seems to be a name for a giant, descended from the giants. So this translation translates Nephilim as giants. In our eyes we seem like grasshoppers, and so we were in their eyes. So, in other words, in describing the people of Eretz Yisrael, the Meraglim say that amongst the people they saw these giants known as the Nephilim. Who are the Nephilim? Rashi on the pasuk says, "Hanephilim anakim ibnei Shem Chazai va'Azael." These were giants who descended from Shem Chazai and Azael. These two particular beings, Shem Chazai and Azael, Shenaflu min hashemayim b'mei dar Enosh, who fell from heaven in the generation of Enosh, the grandson of Adam. So, who fell from heaven in the generation of Enosh? These were the great grandparents of the Nephilim in Eretz Yisrael, giants who descended from Shem Chazai and Azael. So Shem Chazai and Azael, what type of names did they sound like? Shem Chazai and Azael. Familiar names? They sound more like angelic names than human names. Shem Chazai and Azael. So they fell in the generation of Enosh. That's why these beings are called Nephilim. Nephilim from Neifel, which means the ones who fell down from heaven. Who fell from heaven in the times of Enosh? So in Bereshis, right at the end of Parshas Bereshis, it says, "Hanephilim hayu ba'aretz bayomim ahem, v'gam achreichen asher yavoi b'nei ha'elikim el b'nois ha'adam, v'yoldu lahem heima giberim asher ma'olam anshe Hashem." So the Nephilim, it says in Bereshis, were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of the nobles would come to the daughters of man, and they would bear for them, they would give birth. They are the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. So Bereshis is referring to these well-known, mighty people, these are human beings, who descended from the Nephilim. The sons of nobles is the way it's translated. In the original, it's B'nai Elikim. B'nai Elikim means sons of angels. Elikim are powers, heavenly powers, divine type of powers. Elikim does not always denote Hashem. It also can denote power. It means power, a powerful. So, in the Medrash, one Medrash says that this is referring to powerful people, noble people, B'nai Elikim. But others say that no, it was actually angels. Angels who came down on earth and gave birth to giants. Well, if they come down on earth, so they took on human form, and they became parents of children. That's what it seems to be. But again, very little elaboration or explanation. It's just like, yeah, that's you know the Nephilim.
Robert implies that when angels come and appear as men, that they were still angels. They pretend to eat. They don't have the insides of humans.
So what does it mean they pretended to eat?
I don't know.
So there were angels who remained angels. Here, those angels came on an angelic mission to speak to Avraham. Why did these angels come down?
I don't know.
That we need to find out, because that will determine what it is. Another example similar to that would be Eliyahu Navi.
It's still a page and a half.
That Eliyahu Navi is now a malach, but he also can take human form. He did take human form. He lived in this world. He also had children. Well, maybe. Or maybe
And Eliyahu was
Eliyahu Navi.
he wasn't human?
He was in this world. Is that how he started? Maybe he started as a human. Then he it says he went up to Shemayim alive. So he did the other way around. He went from being human to entering into the angelic realms as an angel, and then he can take on human forms whenever he wants, or when he needs to. So when he's a human, he's a human. Assumedly. So these Nephilim were Bnei Elikim, which the most straightforward translation would seem to be angelic beings, who came down to Bnei Adam, who married children of men, and gave birth. And who they gave birth to? Well, when an angel marries a woman, you give birth to a giant. That's what it seems. So we need to figure out who these angels are and why they appear. The only times they appear are at the beginning of the Torah, end of Bereshis, before the flood. They appear again at the times of the Meraglim, they're mentioned. And then at the times of starting to conquer the lands of Ammon and Moav, the Zamzumim and Rephaim, there's mention of various different nations which are also associated with the giants. So, who are they and where do they...
Say specific giants or just in general giants?
Giant? I mean, I don't know. Are there many different giants? I don't know.
I'm saying, is there any other giants in the Torah that, or is this is the only?
Well, there's Og.
Oig?
So as I'm saying, it's not that.
It seems to be the same mishpacha. The giants, the known giants. So look at this is from the Zohar on Bereshis. Says the following thing. This is a translation into Lashon HaKodesh. The Zohar is of course in Aramaic, but this is to make it a bit easier. We'll do it in the Lashon HaKodesh translation. When Hashem wanted to create man in the beginning, so He said to the angels, "Let us make man in our image." As we know in Bereshit, it uses the plural term, Naaseh Adam, let us make man. So there are many explanations what that plural means. One is that he asked the angels, let us make man. He was taking advice from the angels. Are you okay with this? We're going to make man. Are you all right with it? One of the reasons he's asking their permission is because he wanted to make man leader over all the malachim. That the actions of human beings is going to lead what happens to angels. And so Hashem's telling them, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to create a superior over you. That Adam, that the human being, will be in charge of all the malachim. And they will be led under his leadership, the leadership of man. Like it says, like it says that Yosef put leaders over the land, so too Hashem is putting a leader over the land, which is Adam over the Malachim. What does it mean that we're leaders over the Malachim? That our actions influence the Malachim. We determine where the Malachim go. We can create Malachim with our actions. We set the tone. The human neshama will be over the Malachim. So therefore, there were angels who wanted to oppose the creation of man. And they said to Hashem, what is man that you should remember him? He's going to sin. So why would you make us under him? Why would you make the angels under man? Man is going to sin. So it makes no sense that he should be above us, the angels who do not sin. Right, so we find that several times when angels had protested what Hashem wanted to do, at the creation of the human being, at Matan Torah, at the building of the Mishkan also, angels protested. So here, the Malachim say, why would you create man that will sin and make him leader over us. So Amalem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as Hashem said to them, Im atem hayisem lamata ba'aretz k'vei adam hayisem chaytim yosem amenu. If you, angels, would be down on earth like man is, then you would sin much more than him. Meaning, you think you're an angel? Yeah, you're an angel because you're an angel. But if you would be man, you'd be worse than man. If you were down here on earth. And immediately after Hashem said this, these angels who protested saw the daughters of man, that they are beautiful. Had a desire for them. And Hashem thrust them down onto earth with chains. In chains. In other words, they were forced to come down on earth. And coming down on earth meant taking physical form. Being down here in this world. And these B'nai Elikim, these angelic beings, were Azza and Azael. That the neshamas of the Eruv Rav, the mixed multitude, come from them. The Zohar there explains that at length what that means. Shehem Nephilim, and these are the Nephilim. The Nephilim were Azza and Azael. These two angels who opposed the creation of man. That's their name.
Is that why it's called mixed?
Why?
It's like a mixture of humans and humans.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
Why is it called Eruv Rav? With different nations?
Yeah. So the Zohar says there were all these different spiritual sources of the Klippa of Erev Rav. Yeah. So there were Azza and Azael here. Now, that's different to Rashi, who says Sham Chazai and Azael. But we find different Medrashim. Rashi's basing his on one place in the Gemara, which talks about Sham Chazai. But other Medrashim, including the Zohar here, calls them Azza and Azael. That they were the Neshama, they were the Malachim that opposed the creation of man, and therefore were sent down to see what it's like to be a man, and didn't do so well. These are the Nephilim. And they're called Nephilim because they thrust themselves down from their holiness. They lost their holiness. They fell from their state of holiness. To follow lustfully after women who were beautiful. And therefore Hashem thrust these mixed multitudes, these angels, from Olam Haba, from the heavenly realms, that they should have a portion there, they should get any reward should be in this world, they should not have a part in the next world. So this is who the Nephilim are. So we've got a bit more of a picture.
So it's Eruv Rav, you say?
Well, it's the source of the neshamas of the Erev Rav as well. Yes. So who are the Nephilim? Well, we have their names, Azza and Azael. They fell from their holiness because they're the ones who were Makatrik, who opposed the creation of man, and so therefore, why do they oppose the creation of man? Because they said, why should man, who's going to be the master of creation, including over the angels, why should man be given such power when man will sin? So Hashem said, yeah, you think man sins? You try being human and see how you go. So Azza and Azael are sent down, they're Nephilim, they fell from their Kedusha into the human realm, and they indeed made a mess.
When did this happen?
Sinned. This was already in Bereshis.
And if it's at the time of creation of man.
Dur Enish.
Yeah. Okay.
That's when it came down.
But Erev Rav was much later.
They descended.
Yeah, this is the descendant of Erev Rav. But they came down, the Azza and Azael came down in Der Enosh. That's when they came into the world. So, I mean, the Meraglim was also a lot later, right? The Bnei Anak are the children of the Nephilim, the descendants of the Nephilim. So, what is this telling us? What are we supposed to take from this idea that there was these Malachim who opposed the creation of man, and then the Nephilim, they fell down, and they're called Azza and Azael. So here's a fascinating thought from the Beis Yaakov of Ishbitz, Rabbi Yaakov Leiner of Ishbitz, one of the great Polish Hasidic masters. He says the following idea: V'hinei inyan Sir Azazel, she'isa b'Gemara. It says in the Gemara about the Sir Azazel, the goat that on Yom Kippur was cast out into the desert and thrown off a cliff in a rocky cliff in the desert as an expulsion of sins of our Averis. In the Gemara Yuma it says shemechaper al ma'aseh uzav va'azael, that the Sir Azazel is Uzza Azael. It's referring to these two angelic beings who oppose the creation of man. And so throwing them off the cliff is a kapara for Uzza and Azael.
Every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't Machaber once.
The Malachim, like, it sounds like they have their own, opinion. But no Malachim like do what Hashem wants.
Yeah.
So like they're going like against Hashem there, you know?
I thought they didn't have free
Like,
choice.
yeah, kind of like, it sounds like it's, like we don't want, we should do this, so now,
And they get punished.
well,
yeah.
I'll ask you an even better question. That it says that there are certain things that Hashem regrets that He created. One of them is the Yetzer Hara. Hashem regrets He created the Yetzer Hara. But Hashem can have regret, like, doesn't Hashem do what He wants to do and get it right the first time? He has regret.
And you can reverse that decision.
So Hashem created something with regret. He created Yetzer Hara with regret. It's a regretful creation. So there's a force called regret in the world. There are counter forces. There's what Hashem wants and what Hashem doesn't want. And Hashem created all of that. So there are malachim that oppose. There are makatrig. There are malachim that are for or against. That's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. So then why do they need a kapara?
Every year.
Well, even Hashem needs a kapara, it says, for reducing the moon. And that's every Rosh Chodesh. There's a Sir Chatos, there's a sin offering because Hashem reduced the moon. What does kapara mean? It means a cleansing of a negativity. There's negativity that exists. It's part of creation, but it has to be fixed.
But it's never fixed.
But not yet. Eventually it's fixed. So he was saying there's a kapara for Uzza and Azael. These two angels, what do they need a kapara for? That they opposed the creation of man.
But they were sent to earth. And they were exiled.
No, that's when they got even worse. They went to earth and they did sins. They need even more kapara now. That just extended their sin. So we, Bnei Yisrael, on Yom Kippur, bring a kapara for Uzza and Azael.
It would be my first on the list.
Right. So look at what the Ishbitzer says to explain this, where it'll make a bit more sense. Kiheim, what's the kapara? Kiheim kitrugu al briyas ha'olam b'amru ma enosh kiskas grenu. That they are the ones who are makatrik. They oppose the creation of man, as it says in the Zohar. Ma enosh, what is man that you should remember him? So they need a kapara, and we need to bring their kapara. Why? He says this. This attitude, the attitude of Uzza and Azael, is entrenched in the heart of every person. shemekatrig al havayosai, that we question our own existence. That this voice, the fact that in creation there was a Uzzah and a Za'il that said, what's the point of human being? What good are they? That voice, of course, that's an angel saying that, which means that's something that Hashem created to do that the angel's doing what it's supposed to do, which means that an intrinsic part of the creation of the human being, one of the layers of our psyche, is a voice that says, what do you exist for? You're not worthy of existing. You shouldn't be.
On an individual level.
Yeah. It opposes our very existence, and it's a voice within us we have. And so such a voice, what does it do? It's a force within us that tries to destroy everything and sabotage our own existence and our own life. It's like that nothing matters, that we're not worthwhile and life is not worthwhile, and I don't boil up to anything. It just tries to dismiss and destroy and belittle and undermine everything. But its real point is to try and make us sin. Because if you're not worth anything, and life is not meaningful, and you're not worthy of your existence, so you might as well just indulge. Because what does it matter anyway? So while we have this yearning for a life of meaning and to live purposefully and to do the right thing, we have another voice in us that is a chaotic, anarchic voice saying nothing matters, you're not worthwhile. And while we have a yearning to have a sense of meaning and self-worth, we have another voice in us that says you're worthless. You shouldn't exist in the first place. A self-destructive voice. And that's Uzzah and Azael. But when Hashem wants, He can banish this negative power. The Tzafoni is a nickname for the Yetzirah, this evil power, and to throw him out into the parched land, kick him out into the desert. Meaning that we can gather the strength with Hashem's help to banish this voice from ourselves, to not allow that opinion that you're worthless, that your life is meaningless, that you're not worthy of your existence. We can banish that thought from outside of our head, throw it out into the desert. That it can be thrown, this power, this voice, this energy, this attitude can be expelled into the depths of the sea, that it should not be able to have any say any longer in our minds. And so this is what the visualization or the spiritual power of taking the goat, the sir lazazel, the sir for Uzzah and Azael, and taking it out into the desert and just chucking it away. In other words, not engaging in it, not debating it, not trying to convince it or turn it around, but say that attitude, the attitude that I'm worthless, that life is meaningless, that I'm not a worthy being, that just has to be expelled. Elsewhere he explains, the Ishbitz explains that this was the mashchis. It says in Mitzrayim that the mashchis was the destroying force that came down to kill the firstborn of Mitzrayim. So he says the mashchis was this energy of Uzzah and Azael, the kitrug against the human being. That's what killed the Egyptian firstborn. That the Jewish people believed that the more people in the world, the better. Because people bring light into the world and bring goodness into the world. And so therefore we celebrate a firstborn because that's the beginning of a new generation. So firstborn is great news. But the Egyptians were captured in the mindset of Uz and Azael, that life is worthless and that there's no meaning, no positive meaning to life. And so therefore a firstborn is bad news. More people means more worthlessness and valuelessness. So the mashchis, the destroying energy, was the energy of Uz and Azael that destroyed the firstborn of the Egyptians and saved the Jewish firstborns who valued life. So this is why we need to bring a kapara. Now we understand. We need to bring a kapara for Uz and Azael because we are Uz and Azael. We have it in ourselves. It's that force that makes us dismiss the meaning of life and the meaningfulness of life, to not take ourselves seriously, to not honor ourselves, to not love ourselves. That's an inner kitrug, an accusation, an opposition, the angel that says that man should not have been created. So we need to bring kapara. That's the Sila Zazel. Which then brings a fascinating thought as to why these Nephilim appear in certain points in the Torah. It's at key points where the question is like, are we here to do our mission or not? Are we going to fulfill our mission or not? So just before the flood, they appear when man is on the verge of destruction, and just before the 40 years in the desert, when the Jewish people don't quite fulfill their mission and try to get to the land where they're supposed to get to, these Nephilim appear at these points. It's this destructive force that makes us throw away. Well, I guess internally, yes. And the giants around, I don't know, I think the big giant is self-hatred.
No, but on a physical level, so. It doesn't say anywhere that they ever brought the giants.
No.
So we obviously have regular descendants too.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, you have short people.
Do you ever tell people?
Okay, over the page.
This is beautiful. I mean, this is so. Like at first I'm like, what in the world?
So it only appears in those two places.
Like, what is it?
And I
It's
think
so
in
nice
Devarim
how
when
he
they're
brings it-
starting to conquer the land as well.
Oh yeah, you said that. Right?
It's beautiful how he brings it, like, it's negated to us.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Otherwise, it's just this weird
Amazing.
Hadith
concept.
Hasidus. Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's just a weird concept.
Okay, so then on the other side of the page, I have from the Rebbe in the Kutei Sichos Chelik Chaf Ches, in the first Sicha on Shlach, at the end of the Sicha, where the Rebbe goes into a long discussion of the report of the spies mentioning the giants and the Nephilim, and then explains it al pi Chassidus. So where it says Led Ches von Yenish al Torah shel Pirush Rashi Zeh. So the inner Torah as reflected in the Rashi that talks about the spies seeing the Nephilim. Der Sof von Rashi as mit Vesham Re'inos and Nephilim haben den Meragen gemeint dem Malachim shenaflu min hashamayim. That Rashi explains that when what happened was the spies said earlier already that we saw giants in Eretz Yisrael. We saw giants. Then Kalev, after their negative reports, said, "Quiet, no, it's okay. Moshe can take us because Hashem is on our side. We're able to go into the land." Then the angels, the Meraglim continued their negative report, adding that it wasn't just giants; it was the Nephilim that we saw. The Nephilim who we saw, not just giants, but Nephilim. So the Rebbe explained that what the Meraglim was saying,
By the way, how do they know?
I guess who else would they be? When you
All
see giants,
are
yeah,
doing? All giants are-
yeah.
So all goes
No, but you're saying they saw
Like,
the
yeah.
giants and they saw the feelings, isn't that what you're saying?
Not just, not, it wasn't just giants, it was the Nephilim. So in other words, we're giving the yichus now, not just we saw giants, but it was the ones that descended from angels who came down on earth. That's the giant. That's who these giants were. So why they've already said they saw giants? Why are they now giving this additional detail? So the Rebbe explains because,
But they're rather with them in the desert. You're saying they have descendants from them too.
but they weren't giants.
No,
They weren't giants.
Yeah.
So the Rebbe explains that originally the Meraglim was saying that there's no way we can conquer this land. There's giants there. So Kalev says yes we can because Hashem is on our side.
No, that makes more sense.
So then the Meraglim said no, but these were giants that fell from heaven. Even with Hashem on your side, well, heavenly beings, they fell, and look what happened to them. So if that's what happened to angels, what's going to happen to us? That was the addition that they made. So the Rebbe explains this deeper now. Is masim zum teuchen a taina von dem Meraglim wie es wird mevurin pnimis Torah. This fits very perfectly with the way the Meraglim's argument is explained in pnimis Torah in Chassidus. Es is Yadua der Bir von Alten Rebbe, benegeh chet Meraglim. We know that the explanation the Alter Rebbe gives in the Likutei Torah as far as what was the sin of the Meraglim. How can we say these very holy people who were sent on a holy mission by Moshe came back and said, nah, we can't conquer the land? So the famous explanation of the Alter Rebbe is, as a svara, that the logic of the Meraglim was, Nitzu velen reingehen in Eretz Yisrael, why did they not want to go into Eretz Yisrael? Is bestanden in dem, was sie haben gewollt bleiben in Midbar, weil dort ist man ausgetan von Tirdus ben Yonah Parnassa. That they wanted to stay in the Midbar, in the desert, because there you don't have the worries of making a living. You don't have to have material concerns. No real involvement in materialism at all. You had a perfectly spiritual state, spiritual existence in the desert. So there you can be completely devoted to your spiritual pursuits. There was no need for any physical worries. The food fell from heaven. Your clothes were cleaned as you moved along. Everything was fine. You could just daven and learn and bask in the holiness of Torah. However, if they go into Eretz Yisrael, Eretz Noshevas, which is a settled land, like a land that you have to settle and work and build, where there you have to work in your field for 6 years, as the Torah itself says, you're going to come to the land, you have to work in the field for 6 years. That's going to tear them away from their spiritual focus. Und der Shorish HaTois is gewen zer hanacha. Now, the basis of this mistake, why that was the wrong thing, they wanted a spiritual existence in the desert rather than the material involvement in the land. The basis of their mistake was, as Ruchnis and Gashmias müssen sein bestiru zelazeh. Is because they understood that Ruchnis and Gashmias are two contradictory states. You can either be involved in the material world, or you're a spiritual type of person. You can't be both. That if you're a spiritual type, that means you're not interested in and not involved in Gashmias. The physical world just doesn't count for you. If you're a materialistic person involved in the physical, so then that means spirituality is out of your realm. Man kann nicht sein vernommen mit Gashmistigen Yonim und gleichzeitig sein zugebunden zu Ruchnis. It's impossible to be involved in material pursuits and at the very same time be spiritually connected. That's how they understood things. Und das ist was die Meraglim haben gesagt, Eretz Echel Yashvera. And that's why the Meraglim described the land as a land that consumes its inhabitants. Why? As oib mis sich mis yashev, metut sich rein in yonei aretz, because if you inhabit, if you dwell in the land, which means in earthliness, in physicality, wird man aufgegessen, eingesunken, in the tirdus von Yonei Haaretz Echel Yashvera, then you become eaten up, consumed, completely entrenched and sunk into the occupation of materialism. It's a land that eats its inhabitants.
Didn't they from Matan Torah, wasn't that the whole thing that the Gashmis and Ruchnis came together? So wouldn't they have that concept?
Correct, but there's different dargas in that. There's like, okay, so we can do mitzvahs like in the physical world. We don't have to be in heaven, but let's be in the desert. The desert is also a physical world. But to be actually involved in working the land, in material pursuits, in making a living, that's another darga, it's another level. So they understood that it's enough that we're down here in the world, we're physical beings. We're not up in heaven, but you have to go actually into a land and start working, building. So, and if you do that, it's a chelas yeshveho. It eats you up. It consumes you completely. Your whole mind is preoccupied with it. Al pizes moven der hemshech inyan, was sie haben gesagt. And with this we can understand the continuation of what they said. The shamra inu es Nephilim, that they said we saw the giants there. In context of what the Meraglim, their claim was, it wasn't just a lack of faith. They didn't believe that Hashem could take them into the land. No, it wasn't so simplistic. We were talking about much higher people than that. It's that they felt that it's not a good move to go into Eretz Yisrael, because by going to Eretz Yisrael, you lose the spiritual connection of the desert. You start to get involved in the material pursuits. And to strengthen their argument, to prove their point, they said, and we saw the Nephilim there. What did we see in Eretz Yisrael? We saw the Nephilim. Or Kapirush Rashi, as das meint bibnei sham chazoi va'azoil, shenaflu min hashamayim b'mei do enosh. And as Rashi explains, we saw the Rashi earlier, that who are the Nephilim? They are from the children of Shem Chazoi and Azoil, or according to the other source, Uz and Azoil, that fell from heaven in the time of Der Enosh, the grandson of Adam. Wie said Baruch in Chazal, as Chazal at length describe in Yalkut Shmoni, is milchatchila zenen ze arab gekommen mit der Kavana l'shem Shemayim. Nor ze haben nit gekent beikommen die Chumris v'nisyonis von Olam Hazeh und naflu madrigasam. That originally they came down l'shem Shemayim, that when they came down to earth, it wasn't with a negative purpose. This is what it says in Yalkut Shmoni. But coming down on earth, they couldn't handle the nisyonis. They thought they'd be okay coming down. The angels, from their vantage point in heaven, looking down at earth, they said, that's okay, we can go down, we'll be fine. But when they came down, they couldn't stand the nisyonis. The tests were too strong, and they lost it. In spite of how high those angels may have been when they were in the heavenly realm, where they only did Hashem's will, is birasam lamata haben sie nit gekent anhalten sehr friedliche madrega. When they came down on earth, not only were they unable to maintain their previous level, nor other, but even worse, das hat sie in ze geirem gewen an a Nephilim madregasim. They fell in their level. They fell down to the lowest of the lows. So, who are these angels? These are angels who were real angels, created by Hashem, in heaven, where they were holy. And they looked down on earth and they said, we can do this. We can go down on earth, that'll be fine. But then when they came down,
Aren't they the ones that said...
they lost it.
Aren't they the ones that said that Hashem shall create the man?
Yeah. But they thought that we are better than man. And Hashem said, let's see, if you go down there, let's see what happens to you. They thought, we'll be fine. And then when they got here, they weren't fine. And so they're coming down to earth, caused the Nephilah, they're called the Nephilim. The Nephilim doesn't just mean they fell from heaven down to earth, it means they fell all the way down. They came down to earth and they became completely corrupted. So this is exactly the argument of the Meraglim. The same applies to the Jewish people. In Midbar, in the desert, the Jewish people were able to be on a very high spiritual level. Disconnected from the physical world, not at all interested in the material physical world. They were totally connected to Torah, to Moshe Rabbeinu. Like in an angelic state, just like angels. But going into Eretz Yisrael is going to be a major step down. They're going to be into the physical, and that's going to drag them down. If angels from their vantage point, they think everything's fine until they come down into earth, then they're completely destroyed. So we who are in the angelic state of the desert, when we go into Eretz Yisrael, what's going to happen to us? So the Meraglim interpreted their sight of the Nephilim as being a sign. This is what happens when you take a step down. You fall. Which is a fair argument. It's a good proof. Look what happened to the angels. So it's going to happen to us as well. So, what's the response to that? Of them haben Yeshua v'Kalev geantwortet. So, to that, Yeshua and Kalev, the two spies that remained loyal to the mission, they answered the other Meraglim. Im chafetz bana Hashem v'hevi asanu el haaretz hazos. If Hashem wants us, then He'll bring us to this land. Al tiru es am haaretz ki lachmenu hem Hashem yitanu. Don't be scared of the people in the land because they are ours. They're our bread, literally. Like we've got them in the pocket. We can conquer them because Hashem is with us. So how's that a counter argument to the argument of the other spies? The Rebbe explains. As the Rebbe commented in Gashmias ha'olam veren ze Nephilim arigosam. Even though it's true that angels, when they came down into the Gashmias of this world, they became Nephilim, fallen. They fell from their level. It was a step down, and they lost it. Zen aber Yidden anders, but Jews are another story. The Jewish soul is a different story to the angel. By Yidden is chafetz banu Hashem, because by the Jewish people, this is what Hashem wants. Hashem wants us. He desires us. Dem ebishten chafetz v'tainug is in the Yidden, and in zer avoda lamata, that the pleasure, the desire of Hashem, what fulfills Hashem's desire, is Jewish people being down here in this world and fulfilling His will through their avoda down here in this world. That's what Hashem wanted. Hashem did have an intention for the angels to come down here. That wasn't their mission. Our mission is to be down here. And the fact that Hashem wants our soul to be down here in this world means that we have infinitely higher power than angels have. That angels, as holy as they may be, do not have the strength and the power to inhabit a world like ours in a physical body, to contend with a Yetzer Hara and make it. They weren't given that power. That's why they weren't sent here. That's why they belong in heaven. And the exception is the proof of the rule. The angels that did come down didn't make it, because angels don't have that power. But we are chafetz banu Hashem. We are Hashem's will. Hashem didn't create the world for angels. He created it for us to be down here and to create holiness down in the physical world. The neshama von Yidden is chelik l'kamim al mamash. That the neshama of a Jew is absolutely a piece of Hashem. Yisrael v'kodesh baruch hu kol echad kaviyachol. That the Jewish people and Hashem are one, as it were. And the Ribber is by Yidden faran koiche shel kodesh baruch hu zu kennen mechaber sein zwei hafachim. So therefore, it's within the power of the Jewish people to marry two opposites, Gashmias v'ruchnias gam yachad, to bring Gashmias and Ruchnias, the spiritual and the physical world, and the spiritual and physical existence, and to unify them as one. By emphasizing the spiritual within the physical, it brings the two together. This is a power that angels don't have. For angels are binary, there's black and white, there's the physical and the spiritual, they're two contradictory worlds, they can't come together. So an angel in the spiritual world is fine, as soon as he comes into the physical world, he's lost. Whereas the Jewish neshama has the power of marrying these two, because we are part of Hashem's self. Hashem's self is beyond physical or spiritual. He created both the physical and the spiritual, heaven and earth. So therefore, our neshama has the power to marry, to bring the two together, to live in a physical world, and infuse that with spiritual meaning. This is something that angels can't do. Bis as a Yid kann, neusef zum sein zugebunden zu Ruchnias, euch wenn gefindt sich in Gashmis Olam, Ufta nachmer. Kann überarbeiten der Gashmis Olam Gufa und der Fun machen adir lois barach. So, to the point where the Jews' power is that not only are we able to maintain a spiritual connection even while we're in the physical world, meaning just to stay loyal to Hashem, to stay connected, even though, in spite of the physical surroundings we're in. Not only that, we actually have the power to transform the physical surroundings we're in, that itself it should become holy. And this is a very central point to Chabad Hasidus, that it's not just we're in this world to maintain our faith, to not get lost in the world. We're in this world to transform the world itself. And our neshama has the power to do that. Our neshama is not just the power to conserve itself, to save itself, to maintain its spirituality. Our neshama has the power to transform its surroundings, to make the physical world into holiness. Because again, if our neshama was just sent into the world to stay a neshama, to keep itself, that's not enough. That's not worth it. Our neshama came into the world to transform our body, our personality, and the world that we live in. And that's something unique to the neshama that a malach can't do. A malach, not only can it not transform the world, it can't even maintain itself. Can't even hold onto its own spirituality if it comes down into this world.
So let's say someone like Eliyahu Hanavi.
So he was a neshama of a guf. He was a neshama.
No,
He's
then
higher than malachim.
But now he's a malach. So it's not.
So it's either or. Either he comes down as a neshama or remains a malach.
And also this whole concept, I asked this before, but so they didn't understand this fully at Matan Torah. No, I mean that was the whole thing of Matan Torah, that the Gash and Zeruchas was together. You know, wasn't that the whole life too? So like, they obviously didn't. To what degree? They didn't know to what degree. Is that what you're saying? 'Cause
Yeah.
kind of like, no?
But they probably thought about, like you eat, you make a bracha, so you mavar it. So that's the kind of thing they were doing then. They weren't planting. And so they didn't want to actually have to go and do the work and plant it and all that stuff. It's much harder.
Yeah, and the whole Dirub Tachtonim wasn't understood fully until the Rebbeim explained it. It was in the Medrash.
That's true.
But the extent to what Dirub Tachtonim means, the extent that we have to infuse.
Yeshua understood it, obviously.
Yeah. In Chavetz Banu Hashem, they said. So the Rebbe concludes, Und das haben Yeshua und Kalev gesagt im Chavetz Banu Hashem v'hevi asanu. So Yeshua and Kalev respond to the other Meraglim when they say that we saw the Nephilim, so that's a proof that you can't maintain a spiritual life when you go down into the physical realm. Look at what happened to the angels. So what's going to happen to us when we go into Eretz Yisrael? So Yeshua and Kalev say back, Im Chavetz Banu Hashem v'hevi asanu, that if Hashem wants us, if we are the expression of His desire, so then He'll bring us to the land and we'll be able to do it. As vibalt Chavetz Banu Hashem, that because Hashem wants us, His desire in creation is our souls fulfilling its mission down here in this world. Haben Yidden nit was meure zu haben von Am Haaretz. So then Yidden have nothing to worry about from the people of the land. Am Haaretz, the artsiest, the land, the earthliness of Eretz Yisrael. And Nachmer, even more than that, lachmeinuhem, they're our bread. We have them in our pocket. We've got them. Meaning, not only will it not be a land that consumes its inhabitants, like the other Meraglim said, that will be consumed by Gashmias. Not only will that not happen, but the exact opposite will happen. Lachmeinuhem, it's our bread. We'll eat it. Not we'll be consumed by it, we'll consume it. Meaning that Am Haaretz Yidden wollen es mavarem Zach sein. That the earth, the earthliness, the physicality won't eat us. On the contrary, we'll eat it, we will elevate it. We'll be able to transform it. Not only are we going to be able to maintain our Kedusha, but we're going to spread Kedusha into the land, into the earthliness of the world. Yidden wollen es mavarem Zach sein, werden Balabayas auf der Eretz und übermachen. That we will become masters over the land and transform it into something holy. Machen von ira dir lo yisbarach, to make a home for Hashem in the physical realm. So the Nephilim are a proof against what the Meraglim said. The Meraglim saw the Nephilim as a proof that, you see, this is what happens when a spiritual being comes down into the physical world.
So how will we be able to?
So it'll be, so how can we leave the desert, the spiritual world of the desert, and come into the physical world? Yeshua and Kolos say, no, that's the whole point. The whole point of Nephilim is that you, a neshama beguf, can achieve what a malach cannot achieve. Look what happens when a malach comes down into earth, they completely get lost straight away. Whereas a neshama down here on earth has the capability not only to not get lost, but actually to transform the world into something higher, which shows the unbelievable power that the neshama has. Okay.